Hey guys, Julian Lolo here and welcome back to my channel. So for those of you that aren't aware, I've been a full-time photographer now for coming up on 2 years. I work predominantly in food and fashion photography with a little bit of tourism and commercial work thrown into the mix. I was probably freelancing part-time, doing the odd job for about 2 years before that while maintaining a full-time role in sales. Now in that time working in photography, I've made enough mistakes and I guess done enough things right to be able to compile some notes for you guys, a few tips that you can take from your first freelance photography gig all the way through your career so that hopefully you don't make those same mistakes. Now tip number 1 is a really simple one. It's pretty straightforward. Batteries and memory cards. Make sure you have spares, make sure they're charged, make sure they are formatted. Batteries and cards are technology, they can fail. There's nothing worse than a card corrupting on a shoot or a battery dying and you don't have a spare. In terms of batteries, make sure they're charged. Even if you think they've been sitting charged in your bag for the last 2 weeks, check them before the shoot, throw them back on the charger. Batteries can go flat just sitting there in your camera or in your bag. In terms of cards, make sure they're formatted correctly. You don't want to get to a shoot and realize you have images on the card and you can't remember whether you've put them on your hard drive or not. And then you're trying not to take as many photos as you should be because you're trying to save space, particularly if you don't have a spare. So spares and formatted correctly. Also, if you're running with 2 bodies, make sure they've been formatted from the previous shoot on whatever body you were using, because sometimes your second body, you can check, feel like there's no images on there, but there's still images that you can't see in a different format. It's happened to me before working between the 5D and the R. Second point is camera settings. Make sure you're shooting in RAW. You may have been at home using your camera to take some photos of the pets or of the family, shooting in JPEG. Forget to change it back, go through an entire shoot and not realize that you've shot everything in JPEG until you get home. Your editing capabilities are severely decreased, and also if you needed to provide some really high resolution images to the client, you're in trouble. Also make sure that your time codes are correct on your camera, particularly if you're shooting with 2 bodies. Make sure that they are the correct time, date, and they match up. It just helps you a lot later in post when you're trying to compile all your photos and get them in a nice order. The third one is a point that relates to both the photography industry and any other career you're in. Presentability and professionalism. As creatives, yes, we are lucky enough to wear pretty much whatever we want and we can bring our own style, but make sure that that does fit in with your client. If you're shooting a wedding by comparison to shooting a gym or fitness shoot, know your audience and fit in. Sneakers and shorts are fine for that gym shoot, but not for the wedding. Be presentable. You want to be known for your photography, not for that guy who wore shorts and sneakers to somebody's wedding. In terms of professionalism, make sure you're on time. Do your research before a shoot. Know the location, how long it's going to take you to get there, if there's parking. This not only helps with professionalism, but it also helps you not be on the back foot once you start shooting. There's nothing worse than getting somewhere late, you're already flustered, and then you have to start shooting. You're already on the back foot, you're already going to start feeling the pressure before the first shot you take. Going into the next tip, and that is to know the brief. Now hopefully your client gives you a really clear and concise brief of what they expect out of the shoot, the deliverables, the style, the mood. Hopefully that's provided to you, and if it is, take it with you, tick things off. Make sure that you come away with everything that they want. Make sure you don't get home and you get a call from the client and they say, hey, you know that image, did you shoot that in a landscape for a banner on our website and you haven't shot it? Make sure you tick the boxes and come away with everything that the client wants and then some. If the client hasn't created a nice clear brief for you, create your own. You've got tools like Pinterest, which I use all the time to create a little mood board that is easy to quickly look at on your phone, or you can print it out if you want. And for example, food shoots, you can save your different angles. You can save poses for fashion or portrait shoots. Create your own little brief and make sure you come away with everything you need to create all the assets to deliver to that client. The last tip to me, tip number 5, is probably the most important. It's probably also the hardest, and that is to slow down, stop, and think. We've all been in those situations where things just aren't working out on a photo shoot, whether it be shooting in the middle of the day and the sun is really harsh and blowing out all the highlights, and then you can see on the back of your camera that you're not getting what you want and you start getting hot, you start getting a bit flushed in the face and a little bit of sweat building up on the forehead. From then on, if you let that stress take over you, it's just going to control everything, and you're just going to be firing away and not come away with anything that you're really happy with. What you've got to remember is that you're the professional there. The client has hired you because of your skill and your talent. If they could do it themselves, they would. So they won't mind if you stop, take a step back, and think about how you're going to attack this problem. Photography is often about problem solving. So take a minute to solve that problem, breathe, start again, and you're going to nail those shots. And the client will be happy because they've got what they wanted. Other than that, just enjoy it. To me, personally, I feel that as photographers, we have one of the luckiest careers, and that enables us to do things that we'd be happy enough to do in our free time, let alone our work time. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe. If you have any other lessons that you've learned throughout your photography career, let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for pressing play.